30 minutes of power.
Welcome to Top 30 Minutes of Power, a podcast dedicated to encourage, educate, and inspire godly women to pursue their passions, with hosts Jory O'Neill and Nicole Salter. Thanks for coming. Let's get ready to power up.
Welcome to another fabulous episode of 30 Minutes of Power with your host, Nicole Salter, and me, Jory O'Neill. And tonight, we have the return of our famous, fabulous, unofficial co-host, Auntie Linda Wilson. How you doing? Hey,
I'm
TT.
doing good.
That is good. And if you have not caught on or followed previous episodes, Auntie Linda suffered should I call it a massive?
I had a massive heart attack.
Okay, so she has suffered
And
a
then
massive
I had
heart
a
attack.
quadruple bypass.
The way the interview works is I ask you the questions and then you tell me the answer. You just offering information,
Okay.
but I like it. It's good. She's excited because she was there, now she's not no more. And so, if you can share, how long ago was this? It was like right before
It
Thanksgiving.
all happened October the 17th.
October the 17th. And it is currently December 12th.
Right.
And she is back home in her own self bed, in her own self apartment, living independent. Wow, look at God. How amazing and wonderful.
Amazing.
So we've missed you. We've missed your presence and your questions and your feedback. You have a different perspective than we do. One might call it wisdom. And so this evening topic is super fitting. The Spirit puts these things in Nicole's heart and head, and then she texts me randomly, "Hey, let's do this." And so we're going to have a conversation today about looking at the glass half empty and how we can change and shift our mindsets to see the glass as half full. Regardless if there's any additional liquids put in, the shift of your mindset can definitely change the amount of liquid that is in your cup. And so I think it's a fitting time to interview you, TT Linda, and just talk about how your mindset has shifted over the last 12 months and especially the last 8 to 10 weeks, right? I mean, you go for what you think is just maybe heart indigestion or heartburn or bad gas, shortness of breath. Maybe you done caught COVID, you don't know. And then to be told, hey, we have to rush you to the emergency room. Oh, hey, we have to hurry up and rush you to surgery. What if I don't need you? I don't need too many details personal wise, but what was that like? Like being told that
it was not like it wasn't heartburn or anything like that. I would like for women to know that we have all kinds of symptoms to bring on a heart attack. I was at Home Depot looking for something in Home Depot. I got nauseous and I got a pain across my chest and I threw up. Now, once I threw up, I felt better. So I went and got in my car and went home. I went home to see my niece on her telecast, and I had to see it. So then the next morning, the same thing happened, and my doctor told me to go to the emergency room. When I went to the emergency room, the doctor said, "Miss Wilson, I wish you had came yesterday, but I'm glad you're here today because you might not have survived tonight."
Mm.
So it was an experience for me that I never saw coming. I never felt it coming. I was nowhere near prepared for it. But I thank God that he was there and he had the right doctor there for me, because that doctor was not playing around. He was like, you'll be going into surgery in the morning. And I'm like, what? He said, you got to have a quadruple bypass because all of your arteries are blocked. One was 100% blocked. I'm walking around like this, y'all. I'm walking around with 4 arteries one of them was 67% blocked, one was 100, one was 98%, and I don't know what that fourth one was. But the doctor was a good doctor. And I hope everybody that goes through something like this can manage to meet a doctor like I did. He was straightforward and he was compassionate. He talked to my sons by via phone. He talked to them, and he talked to my family that was there. And 4 days, Yvette said I was out for 4 days, so I can't tell you what happened within them 4 days. But I'm here.
Amen. And you look pretty.
Thank you. I've lost quite a bit. I've lost like 14 pounds, and I'm going down more. Yeah, so
okay. Listen, those are all good things. So
they're mostly good signs.
So in thinking about what do you believe contributed to your heart attack?
Smoking. Smoking. I had got up to a pack a day. Yes, I was smoking, and I wasn't like I had no exercise regime, no nothing. I just sat around and smoked all day. You know. So I think all that contributed to this heart attack, this heart thing I had. But I won't have another one.
Amen. Let's claim that.
I didn't claim it. I won't have another one.
So what go for it. Nicole.
I have a question for you. Okay. When you were in the office, did you go by yourself? Or did you have people initially when you first went in, and when you first went into the hospital and they said, I'm glad you're here today, you're going in for surgery, were you by yourself?
Yes.
So when
until they made phone calls.
When you heard the doctor say you wouldn't have made it through tonight, how did you stop yourself from going into a depressive state? Because the doctor is telling you that you're getting ready to go under the knife, right? And that is never something that is easy for us to take in, because we know if we're going into surgery, whether it be pregnancy or not, we'll be there for a few days, or we'll be out of commission for a few days. And as a woman, I'm pretty sure all of your children are old now, but as a woman, it's like, I have so much to do. I got to cook, I got to clean, I got to work, I got to do this, I got to do that. And now you telling me that I got to be not even in my house, but like in a hospital for days? Who's going to do all that stuff? Who's going to pick up my slack, So what was going through your head for you to be able to say, okay, this is what it is. This is what is happening. We're just going to go with it, and we're going to pray, and we're going to make it through.
The truth was faith, was Jesus. The lady said, one of the nurses, she said, all I kept saying was Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And I didn't think about all that other stuff. That didn't matter to me no more. What mattered to me was them doing what that doctor said they had to do. And Nicole, I told Jory this, and I tell people this is my testimony. They had me when they move you from one table to the next, Okay, they moved me from one table, the gurney, to the operating table, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were giving me the stuff to put me to sleep. And I tell you, and I told Jory, and I'll tell anybody, I felt God put his arms around me. And I knew everything was going to be all right. So all that other stuff you talking about, it did not matter. It didn't matter. All that mattered was they had to do what they had to do so I can wake up. That's all that mattered to me.
Wow.
And I have no idea. I cannot tell you, Nicole, who was at the hospital with me. All I know is I was on that bed and they were pushing me down to the emergency room. Now, when I woke up, my sister Yvette was there.
Wow.
And then the other family members were coming. I had family members there I didn't even know was there.
Wow.
But it was like, wow, this is an experience that nobody should have to go through this experience. But it happened and I went through it and I'm awake and I can get around, and the doctor said he wants me to stop using the walker so I can get strength in my legs and stuff like that. So that's my goal right now. I'm not in pain or anything like that. I'm going to tell you the only thing I've taken for pain since surgery, you won't believe it, 2 Tylenol.
Wow.
If I feel any pain, I take 2 Tylenol.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking any of that heavy stuff. I didn't have to take any of that. I don't have to take any of that heavy stuff.
Nice.
So what's next, right? So you've had this traumatic experience, and I'm going to call it what it is. That's traumatic. When you're told basically that had you not come here, that your life more than likely, a very high probability, would have ended within a day, right? Like after going through a traumatic experience like that, what new urgency has that placed in you? Like, what is this thing that you feel like, God, thank you for allowing me to stay on the earth a little longer. Now I get to, and you can fill in that blank.
Now I get to help other women with things like, I got to figure out a way. I got to start with my sister. I got to figure out a way to gently tell women about cigarettes and what they do to you. And this heart is no joke. It's no joke. And if cigarettes is one of the main contributors for women over the age of 60.
Wow.
Or over the age of 50. Cigarettes is is one of the main contributors to women having a heart attack. And as I was saying earlier, the symptoms are not classically wrote down in a book. My symptoms was nothing like what I had read about having a heart attack. I had a pain in my chest and nausea. Once I threw up, I was cool. Like I said, I came home and watched Jory on the show. Then I did some housework. Then the next morning, I was cleaning up the bathroom and it happened again. That's when I knew something was serious, because throwing them, you don't just throw up out the blue. So it's just, women need to know that these symptoms, these warnings are not just something you read about in a book or your doctor tell you your arm is going to radiate. I had none of that, child. I had none of that. The stuff didn't radiate down my arm. It didn't. But I had the heart attack.
Wow. I just learned that my aunt had gone to a party on Saturday. A daughter threw a party for her mom and her dad. And at the party, the mom sat down because she needed a break, and she passed out and she never woke up.
Oh, wow.
At the party. So I wonder what symptoms, right? Because as women, we just feel like we have to conquer the world sometimes. And if you twist your ankle, it's like, well, somebody still got to do the dishes. If you sprain your neck, well, somebody still got to feed the kids. And so you tend to get superpowers, right? Not the ones we see on TV, but you get this super strength where no matter what you may be going through, you push through it. I can remember when I had COVID, the people were like, "Oh my gosh, well, what happened with the kids?" I was like, they still had to eat. Who you think had to feed them? So yeah, I had COVID, and when I had it, I didn't even know I had it, number one. But while I had it, like, my kids still needed time and attention.
Yes, they did.
They still needed mommy. Daddy was there, daddy helped, but they still needed mommy. Thank God they didn't get it. They weren't affected by it. And by the time Jamel caught it, I had pumped him with so much drugs, COVID just left. So I'm glad that happened.
But I can say this. I've realized my family rallied around me, and they took care of me. And, if I ever thought I was alone, I know I'm not alone. And
Good.
that's one of the things that can help bring you through a traumatic experience like that. Because if I'd woke up and there was nobody there with me, I was alone, I would have went to that depressed state. Why? Nobody loves me. But I had much family there. Whoever they would let up and whoever could sneak up, they were there. They were there. I'd wake up and it'd be because I have a large family, but I'd wake up and it'd be another person there. And they were praying for me and all of that, so family means a lot. And like Jory, the family is what helped me with the depression I probably would have experienced. I didn't experience no depression. I had a lot of them coming up and they praying for me. Even the ones I didn't know would pray for me. They were praying for me. So it was a bad experience, but it turned out to be a good experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
God gave me something to look forward to. Now I got to figure out how I'm going to get it done. And I think that looking forward to and praying about it is me out here to try to do something with other women to help them realize that the things that we're doing are the things that we're doing to ourselves. And as far as eating and what we're eating, you know what I'm saying? Can you imagine you got 4 arteries just blocked? And all that comes from food and stuff. We can stop that artery blockage with what we eat. Yeah. And I'm getting ready to research food on the different things that, for me, that I know I need to eat. So once I research them, then I will be able to play around with this or that recipe.
Yes.
To make things better for someone else.
Good, because you know what? I go to the produce section and I see all these vegetables and I'm like, what do you do with this? I only know the basics. Carrots, sweet peas, corn, which is not really a vegetable. It's a starch. Who knows? I don't know. It comes from the ground. Tomatoes. Like, I know the basics. But when you get out of the basics,
it's all
I'm
kinds
like,
of things.
what is this?
It's all kinds of things you can do with those produce, Nicole. all
I'm
kinds
sure
of
there
things.
are. The question is,
And then
who's gonna
we
teach
need to
me?
take that box of salt and put it back.
You
So,
know, we started using the pink Himalayan salt because
yeah.
it's supposed to be more natural
And it's
and you don't
supposed to be
use as
good.
much. So, but other than that, we stopped cooking with salt. We use the pink Himalayan salt every now and again. And garlic is actually a good substitute for salt because garlic is salty, which
Yeah.
I never knew until my mom started making garlic paste.
Some roasted garlic, yep. It's very good. And garlic is good spread on toast.
Yep. You know, this is something that is very near and dear to my husband, eating healthy and just like changing lifestyle habits that include being more physical, especially since he sits behind a desk all day. You know, he's always like, I need to go to the gym. I don't have any energy. I need to, and I'm like, well, the gym ain't far, you know. Get up and go. We got a gym in our community, you know. But it's just having the motivation to get there. And sometimes the motivation is just leaving the house.
My brothers say they buying me they're gonna get me a stationary bike.
Okay.
The doctor said that I need that stationary bike. It will help strengthen the muscles in my heart.
Do you have a
chest.
YMCA near you?
I ain't going to that YMCA. Not at all. No.
Well, for the intents and purposes of me wanting to do business with the YMCA in the future, we are going to fast forward past that subject, and I will encourage this bicycle being put in your home
Okay.
for you to exercise home in safe environment.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, they got a lot of transit men down here in this YMCA. I ain't going up in there. Mm-mm.
Well, the reason I asked is because water aerobics is very good for building strength also.
Yeah, I'd have to go over to this park.
Okay.
YMCA ain't got it over here.
Oh,
I'm in the hood for real. Okay.
Okay. Well, if you can find a pool that you like and you're comfortable going to, just going in the pool and walking around in circles or jogging in place or doing squats in the water, those are all different exercises that would help strengthen your legs as well.
Yeah, because I got the senior thing. So I'm gonna look into that where I can go to a gym.
Okay, nice.
And my senior thing pay for it.
Nice.
So it's just getting me out here and getting the things done and going up and down the stairs again, which is another strengthener.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all, I am not depressed. I am not any of that stuff. I'm very happy. Very, very happy.
So,
we are happy too.
Yeah,
yes, we are happy that you're home and happy that you are now working towards becoming more stronger and helping others because that's what we're here for, right?
And
we're not here to keep all of our information to ourselves. We're here to pass it along.
I'm not going to keep any of it to myself, Nicole. I'm not going to keep anything to myself. When I meet women out here, they're going to be like, this lady, I don't need, and get away from her. She talk too much.
So, Jory, I have a question for you. You started IYH some years ago, and you saw that the direction that you had for it wasn't a direction that was making you money or as much money as you would have liked to, right? And it started to get hard to keep up with the business the way it was before. What made you say, scratch this, let's start over, instead of saying, scratch this, I'm just going to work for DOE the rest of my life?
These are great questions. Being on the other side of the interview. Oh, well, interesting. Honestly, it wasn't even like, oh, this isn't making us money. I saw. So when Ron and I started IOH, it wasn't even like a couple years ago. We started it maybe like 7-9 years ago. It wasn't formalized. It didn't really have a name. We would fool around calling it In Your House Entertainment. We would go and we would DJ and I would do comedy. This is when we were dating, and then, got engaged, got married, and we performed at people's weddings and anniversary parties and birthday parties and bridal showers. Like, we were just performing. And initially it was like, love donations. And then it got to the point where it was like, okay, we've been doing this for a while. I think we should start getting paid. And so we start getting paid. And once we start getting paid, I was like, maybe we should actually like form this into like a business. And there was always like this back and forth between he and I about, oh, having a business is like having another child, and it's so much work and time and energy and effort. And it was like, I think 1 month into COVID, and I had just started walking again. I had twisted my ankle pretty poorly in like March 10th. And I was just, I started feeling like really depressed and just down. I was like, I don't like this feeling. So if I'm feeling like this, what would make me happy? I want to watch comedy. So I just started watching comedy, and I stumbled upon all these like clean comics. And I was like, this is a thing. Like, people like actually do this outside of a church. Like, that's cool. And I was telling a girlfriend of mine, and she was like, why don't you just do comedy and then sell it? I was like, how does that work? I can't leave my house. She's like, just go on Zoom or something and have people come watch you. I said, that sounds weird, but I like it. And so literally I hung up from her and I went downstairs and I told Ron, I said, when we put the kids to bed, I'm doing a comedy show. He's like, where? I said, in the basement. And so the first show we did, I mean, I hadn't even done the floors yet. Like, I think I was stepping on like tablecloths that I had taped down to my basement floor. It was an unfinished basement. And we had like no scenery. It was white walls all over the place. Now, mind you, we just moved in like the November before. So we didn't have nothing. And so he's sitting there with his camera phone. Every time I move, which is not much because my ankles are still jacked up. I couldn't fit half of my clothes because I had gained weight like in the month that I was home. So like my shirt is like barely fitting. I think the first video, Top Drawer Baby, of our comedy show, like my shirt is tight and like bulging, and is like my belt. I look like I'm pregnant again, and I couldn't fit my pants. That was nice looking. So then I have on like these shorts.
Oh my gosh.
And every time I move to the left or the right, all you hear is like the plastic on the ground from the tablecloths we taped down on the floor. And it was fun. It was good times. And as long as we were looking to serve people and not to like make like $1 million, God blessed it. And then we started like networking with larger names, and then we start getting more money, and you know how that goes. And then slowly the morals and the values started slipping, and then you find yourself in a space where you're like, this is not what I started. This is not what I set out to do. I don't feel confident about the content I'm putting out there. And so having created all these shows and all these videos and not being able to use them because they weren't in alignment with our brand. And we had choices. Yeah, we could have stopped it, but I'm motivated oftentimes by just proving people wrong. And statistically, businesses, they fold within the first 2 years. So my intention was if we could get to year 3 and make a profit by year 3, then we've won. right? Like the bar wasn't set super high, but I'm like, if we can make a profit by year 3, then we've won.
Right.
And so this is year 3. And I think the first year, I don't know, we maybe like, we made like, I don't know, like a couple thousand out of the 12 months that we was in business. And then the next year we made like 9. And then this year we set to do like 15, right? So
Right.
each year it's growing a little bit by a little bit, but we had to push the reset button and go back to where we started and say, okay, why did we start this?
Right.
What is the purpose? What is the mission? And the mission has always been like to find creative ways to spread the gospel.
Nice.
So beginning of the year, I said, well, what other ways can I spread the gospel that I know of? And so that's how, this podcast was birthed, from the Monday night Bible studies we were doing with the women. And then the Fun Friday comedy specials. I was like, I heard when I'm always going to these challenges. It was like those 3-day challenges. And he was like, you can take your content from this place and put it over here and la la la. And I was like, oh, snap. So I could just start a podcast based off of old comedy shows that I did. Oh, sweet. So then that's what I did. And so season 3 of Fun Friday comedy is basically the live comedy shows that we were doing when things started opening up again. And so season 4 will be the comedy shows that we do in 2023. And so when I stop focusing on finances and I'm focusing on mission, God blesses it. So I think just really remembering what my values were, remembering the mission, remembering the why. And now my goal, my aim personally, right, is to help other women like figure out that thing, that talent, that gift, that purpose, that calling, right? Like Titi Linda has a new purpose. Before she was like, oh, it's the cook. She didn't know
still trying to do
specifically.
that. I want to do that book.
But that's what I'm saying. But your target has changed. Before it was cook soul food. Okay, cook soul food, a little healthy. But now, if I was to put words around what your message is right now, how to cook healthy foods after a heart attack or to prevent you from having one. Right. Like if I was going to look for a cookbook on, okay, well, what recipes can I use after I've had a heart attack, or what recipes can I use to prevent myself from having one in the first place? Well, boom, this one cookbook does both. It's both reactive and preventative. And I think that's probably not something that was at the forefront of your mind when you were initially thinking of making the cookbook, right?
Right.
And so having certain experiences, we talk about the glass being half full or half empty. Sometimes in our deficits, we can kind of find the thing that tips the scale, that changes and shifts the balance of just doing something to actually being in alignment with our calling and our purpose.
Right.
So, yeah, but that's a great question. It was really just feeling.
Well, I think the key thing that you said that answered the question perfectly, right? And for those that might be just tuning in or missed some of the information, the question is, when Jory's business wasn't doing as well as she thought it should be doing, what kept her from throwing in the towel and reevaluating the business to move it along? And what I got from everything that you said was, there was a time where you were thinking about the business and you were just not happy, and you didn't like that feeling of being sad and depressed about where you were in life, where the business was in life. And so you decided to change some things and, reevaluate what your values are and what you were doing. And it's important that we keep those core values, right? Because when we start to spin away from those core values, especially core values that are staked in Christ, staked in God. When we start to go the opposite way of that, the wrong doors start to open. And then we get in a lot more trouble than what we wanted to get into. So it's important. It's very important. And I like that you said you personally didn't like the way you felt and you were in tune with your core values, right? Because a lot of times some of us will say, oh, those core values were put on me when I was a child. I don't know if I really believe in them. My mom always told me I should. But when you think about the core value, right, you remember the reasoning behind it. And you remember why it's a core value in the first place.
Yeah.
And that brings you, one, back to reality. And two, it helps you to reevaluate yourself so that you can get back on track. So I like the fact that you recognize that you were not happy where you were, right? Because some of the richest people in the world are very depressed and very sad. Right. And they go to drugs because they don't know what else to go to. And I'm pretty sure one of their core values, right? Because all of us learned when we were yay high to just say no.
Yeah.
And so had they gone back to that core value, some of them that have OD'd probably would still be here.
Mm.
Man, that's deep. That's deep right there.
I think so if you do things like hindsight, like as we were building, right after we incorporated, literally as we were incorporating, that is when I was taking classes to learn about how to run a business. Because I didn't just want to just run it willy-nilly and kind of just whatever. But right. I understood like brand and I understood behavior. And I saw that they weren't matching. Like we were putting ourselves.
Your behavior wasn't matching?
Nah, not at a certain point. Nah.
Okay.
Because we had the opportunity to, gosh, man, I mean, like really blow up. Like, I mean, movies. A lot of this stuff I don't really talk about too much to humans because I don't really care what their thoughts are. Because like I know why I made the decisions I made. But like being involved in movies and having our podcast and our web series at the time, like syndicated, like on an actual like platform, not like the little streaming channel on Roku, but like an actual syndicated like show. And in the conversations with those people, like my spidey senses was tingling, and I had to do a lot of research and got a lot of advice and input from both people in the industry, from people with, just really deep rooted Christian values. And, at the end of the day, you come up with your own conclusion and your own choice. Mm-hmm. But I don't regret not making those choices. I don't regret not making those deals. I don't regret any of that because God is actually positioning us to collaborate with humans that I do feel in complete alignment with. I'm not gonna let the cat out of the bag too much, but January 13th is going down. I'm super excited. There's a woman that I've been following for the last 2 years, a clean comic out of Jersey. I mean, she used to rock back with Shucky Ducky Quack Quack in them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about like a heavy hitter, old school, good girl of comedy. And I'm super excited that she agreed just today, to collab with me and produce a show in January. Yeah, so that's exciting. When stuff like that happens, I'm like, that's God opening them doors. That is totally God opening them doors. Because to admire someone from afar and then have the opportunity to work with them, like
work with them, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That is so
So
wonderful.
I'm excited for that show, and we're gonna just encourage a lot of teachers. Like it's hard being a teacher right now. I teach phys ed, right? Like I imagine my positioning to be a little less strenuous, right? There's no state exams or no regions being staked on if a kid can run a mile in 12 minutes or not. Um, but I can't imagine trying to differentiate and being culturally relevant and then acknowledging and honoring everybody's specific like sexuality, fluidity, and you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. And then like the lack of respect that the students have for your profession as a teacher,
Right.
like they're like, oh, miss, I make more money flipping shoes than you do, like, teaching me. So really, like, it's whatever. Like, I know you can't fail me. They're not gonna let you. Like, what are you supposed to do with that?
Right.
So yeah, the show that we're putting together is really just to encourage people at this time, because between the recession and just
Yeah.
the holidays and a lot of folks are just they're dwindling away.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the same atmosphere that Fun Friday Comedy was birthed out of. This atmosphere of almost hopelessness
Yeah.
that was permeating in people, and so it's exciting to be able to serve folks in this way. And we're targeting the schools and the teachers and administration like right here in our community. Right. So I'm taking a page out of your book because you're real like big on community and like,
Yeah.
oh yes, the pop-up shop and the town square center hall and everybody's go-kart holiday parade, Christmas
Yes.
tree light ceremony.
Yes. I love community events. I do.
So yeah, we're putting it on at the community church, One Life Christian Church, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited to just put some smiles on some teachers' faces instead of frowns, and help their
Nice.
bellies, reduce by just 1 inch from the laughter, from just the. I
Right.
want to get some gut busting laughs. That's what I'm looking for. I'm like, you gonna come here
Nice.
2 pounds lighter. That's what just from
I
laughing. So
Nice.
yeah, but yeah, I listen. Alignment is super
Important.
It's critical, man. It's critical. It's critical to everything. Being in alignment with God, with your spouse, with your kids, right? That was my prayer at the beginning of the year, to be in alignment with my kids, because we were not well. Like we weren't, because it's 4 different personalities that I had to adjust to, and as each grows, a different piece of their personality is exposed.
Comes out. Yep.
And so it was tough. I'm like, I was going through a depressive season, and then trying to deal with them and their emotions and developmental needs, and it was a lot.
I'm sure.
That was my prayer at the beginning of the year. I was like, God, I just want to be in alignment with my kids. I want them to know that I love them and that I got their back and that I'm there for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to put in that work and put in that time, and each of their love languages, quality time and affection. I'm like, how are all of you needing time and affection? But, amen. Like God blessed it, because I was actively like taking steps to make sure that each day I'm praying about it. Okay, well, what did I do today to, pour into this kid? Or what did I do to fill up this kid's love tank? And how did I make this kid feel special today? Or how did I deplete their love tank by, snapping at them, without warrant? And so just keeping my mind, I guess, like looking for it. And that's the thing, like, I feel like oftentimes we want to change things, right? So even going back to health, Auntie Linda, like sometimes we want to change things. We want to be different, but we don't put ourselves in an ability to be able to acknowledge those things as they happen or as they come up. And I think that's the biggest detriment to people, like shifting their behavior or changing their mindset even, or breaking bad habits or forming new habits. just the repetitiveness of, okay, this is something I want. So what did I do today to get myself a little closer to this goal that I want? And like keeping it in front of your mind, like waking up every day. Like this thing has been such a godsend. This big old fat journal. I don't even know if you can see this with my fake background. This is not real. My living room, people. It would never look like this with 4 kids, but I have a very large journal. I think we almost got
I
it.
saw part of it and then it disappeared.
Yep, that's the disappearing journal. It's come from the School of Hogwarts. But yes, this thing has been such a godsend. And initially I was just like, why the heck would I have a daily planner that big? Like, how am I going to carry that around? But I need it because it has what I'm doing for the month. What is my goal for the week? What is my goal for the day? What are my priorities? What's on my to-do list? What's important and what's happening next week? And it has all these spaces to write all these things. And so I write my goals. Like, what are you focused on for this quarter of the year? And, it sets me up for success. And I look at that every morning. Every morning I look at it. Because some mornings, like, I'm in a brain fog and I'm like, what am I doing today? And then I look in the planner. I'm like, oh, okay. Praying to Jesus. Very good. Let's do that. like, I have to write it down. Like, if you don't write it down, it doesn't happen. And so, being in alignment with my kids and learning different ways to like encourage and love on my husband and different ways to serve. And so, yeah, that was a very long-winded answer all over the mulberry bush. But yeah, I think if I'm looking for steps or ways to go from a space of, I'm going to say I was sad by like a lack of money, or I was sad in general. I had got to a place of being, I guess, sad isn't the right word. I would say I become like ashamed of what I was producing. Like that was not the fruit that had been planted.
And I would just like to say this. You talked about the cup being half full. I'm listening to you talk. I just realized why my cup is half full. And you know why? Because I have no spiritual foundation anymore. I have my spiritual foundation from reading the Bible and talking, but I'm talking about a spiritual fellowship. There's nowhere that I want to go. I want to go where I'm being taught. So that's gonna be another one of my goals for 2023. I'm gonna find me the right place. I know I have to pray and ask God, where does He want me to go? And it's not like my cousins and stuff where they're going. I've been, but it's just not for me. I want to be taught. I want to be taught, and I want to be filled. Like you said, I don't want my cup to stay half empty. I want to be filled. So that's gonna be one of my main things for 2023, and getting better so I can get out here and visit this one, that one, and I'm gonna find that one. I'm just gonna pray and ask God every Sunday to lead me to where I need to be, because it's somewhere I need to be.
My dad did that for 52 Sundays. He went to 52 different churches. And he found one that he felt, I guess, was meeting his needs, but said, you went to 52 different churches. Like, how did you ever plan on like actually building community? Like, how did you plan to have people know you, or you know other people? And so while there is some practicality in visiting a lot of churches, like, you're gonna have to go to a couple times.
A couple of times, and I'm sure you can't just go into this church and then next Sunday I'm going to another church. And then the next Sunday, I'm going to another church. Now, that ain't the way you get led or fed. And I know that.
Yeah,
I can't do the church I was in. I can't do that church. I can't do that anymore. And I know it. And I have my reason for I can't do that. So I will. I'm going to start out by going to church with Thaddeus. I like his church a little bit. I do. I like his pastor because he's a teaching pastor. And I've been there more than one time. I've been there about 4 times.
There you go. Yeah, you got to find yourself a space that teaches the word of God.
Yeah. It makes you comfortable.
Well, even that part, like the church I go to now, initially, like 20 years ago, I was comfortable at a certain space, but that was 20 years ago.
Right.
So as you grow, your needs are going to change.
Right.
So I wouldn't say so much about comfortability. I think it's can you grow there? Because sometimes being in uncomfortable positions gives you the most growth. I'm not saying you should be
in the church that's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm not saying go look for being uncomfortable. Like if it's say you are white and it's an all black church and you're the only white person there, going there every Sunday, people looking at you like you lost. You know what I mean? Like that could make one uncomfortable. Or conversely, if you're black going to all white church, like that could make you uncomfortable. But even in that, like I know a guy who goes to all black churches because he's like, I love the worship. They don't worship like this in my church. He's like, I love the worship. He's like, the worship helps my heart get ready to receive the word of God. They don't do this at my church. So I'm going to go where the worship is dope. The worship is dope here. I'm going to be here. And so.
Right. If that's what they need. If that's what he needs. Yeah.
And so that part, like it might be uncomfortable initially, but creating your criteria, a list of things that you feel that you need in this specific cycle of life. I'm trying not to use the word seasons anymore because there's only 4 seasons. And I think that we go through different cycles and cycles continue to change and shift. But in this cycle that I'm in, like I keep evaluating what are my needs? What are the needs of my family? What are my gifts? How can I serve? How can I be a part of this community? Is it a good fit? Is it a good match? Is it a good meshment? What are their beliefs and thoughts and teachings on certain subjects and things? And, do they believe that the Bible is the word of God, that Jesus is the Son of God, that,
right.
How one attains salvation and certain things like that. Like you need a basic foundation that gels with your theology. And then after that, then you start going through the list. But if it's like, oh, I'm the only one here over 60. Okay, well, is that something you good with? Like, can you be like, auntie to everybody? Or are you looking for fellowship?
Right.
Like peer-to-peer relationship, like, you know what I mean? Or even someone older than you or more mature spiritually than you who can help spur you on towards love and good deeds. And then again, if you're the youngest human in the church, like, are you good with that?
Right.
So, yeah, I'm not, and that's the thing. And I'm not looking to be comfortable because if I'm comfortable, I know me, I'm not going to do nothing. I'm going to come through, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to chill, I'm going to act like I'm at a movie. Hey, you see that? That was cool. I like that. That was nice. I'm going to show up as a spectator as opposed to a participant.
Right.
Christianity is not a spectator sport. So
it's not.
And I don't want to
be a spectator.
No, you're not created to be a spectator. The only spectators we have are the angels in heaven that are cheering us on. Those are the only spectators. Outside of that,
right,
you need to be an active participant in your walk with God and your walk with Christ. Ladies, we have hit the 1 hour mark. Woo! Hot dog. Another 60-minute podcast. Love it. Listen, 30 minutes of power. We're going to have to shift the name, Nicole.
Okay.
A double dose of 30 minutes, 2 30-minute sessions, 2 30 minutes.
Well, that's good because that means during Christmas and New Year's, we can have parts 1 and 2.
Anything is possible. Anything is possible. But I'm gonna go ahead and jump off, and I think everyone should too, because we did it. We talked about the glass being half full. We had an interesting guest. Thank you so much for your knowledge and for your openness and for your candor. I appreciate you so much. So excited to see you back in your own space, smiling and cheesing with your makeup on, looking all cute and whatnot. Nicole, as always, thank you so much for just your bright smile and your ideas. They just keep coming. They just keep coming, sis. Appreciate it so much. And thank you so much for those of you listening to this podcast. We show up here every week, every Monday, 7:30, for what it seems now an hour of encouragement, motivation, and education. A whole hour of power. We gonna turn this podcast to an hour of power, something. But now, thank you guys for showing up and rocking out with us. Those of you who watch us on the YouTube and those of you who listen to us on a podcast, we appreciate you. I think next week, please come. Try to jump on the live. Next week we have an incredible guest coming through. She is a woman who has gone from being an addict and a drug dealer to being a top ministry leader who is sought after globally to train and teach others, specifically women, how to lead ministry. And so I'm super excited to have Rose Ashley with us next week. Her story is dynamic and powerful, both hers alone as well as her story with her husband. I'm not going to spoil too much or give too much away, but it is definitely one session you won't want to miss. And unfortunately, it will be the last session for 30 Minutes of Power for 2022. You're probably going to hit some repeats, some replays, or some stuff in the archives that Nicole and I have been fooling around with that we ain't shared yet. But next week will be the last live session until 2023. So again, thank you so much for rocking with us these last 12 months, Nicole. Oh my word, 12 months. We appreciate you.
12 months.
52 months. 52 weeks. We appreciate you. We love you guys. And thank you again, TT Linda, for hopping on and blessing us with your wisdom. 30 Minutes of Power, folks. Jory O'Neill, Nicole Salter. Be an empowered woman, using your power to empower others. Until next time, peace.
Thank you for listening. We pray you have been empowered by the message. If you'd like to be a part of the conversation, join our free Facebook group, AZ Iron Sharpens Iron. Every Monday, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, meet us back here for another session of empowerment. Share this episode with another woman who needs to be empowered. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, be an empowered woman using your power to empower others.
30 minutes of power.